My name is Darren, and I have a story about how a 19th century industrial waste product became front page news in 1959.
Hi, my name is Drew, and I have the perfect story for this episode.
Hi, my name is Adri, and I'm going to tell you a very courageous story in the blink of an eye.
What does all this have to do with S.O.S? Find out in this episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. And now I want to welcome to the show, it is your host, it's Alan.
Hello, welcome to one more episode of History Bluffs, where truth is stranger than fiction. How are you, Adam?
I'm great, Alan. Thanks for asking. I'm here to help and support. Excited for, what is this, episode 112 of our show. We're getting into the hundreds here, creeping in.
Adam is there in the event of an emergency, or as some call it, an SOS.
Uh-oh.
Which, yes,
Look at
that. Listen.
I don't know what that could have been anything in Morse code.
That was History Bluffs in Morse code.
Exactly. Yes, it was. Thank you. That's exactly what it was.
SOS, very well known for being an SOS, for being a Morse code ship in distress? No, ship. What does that mean?
Save our ship.
Save our ship. Thank you, Darren. Save our
sailing.
ship.
Shave our ship.
Shave.
I also read that it was Save Our Souls.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then I read that it really doesn't have a definition, so now I don't know. I'm confused.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
We can
I don't
make it
know
all
if any
up.
of you covered it. Did anyone cover the actual Morse code SOS or no? Because I would be spoiling your story right here and now, so I don't want to go too much detail. But it's interesting. It's very symmetrical, by the way. If you've seen it, it's dit dash 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 dit dit, I think.
Yeah.
Correct.
Unless I got it reversed.
I think it's in our YouTube description for this episode.
Okay.
I did look it up,
Interesting.
but I did not retain it.
It is very symmetrical. Obviously, well, written out, it's symmetrical too. The SOS, it's the same letter at the beginning and end.
I think they chose those letters because it's easy to see on a deserted island when it's spelled out with tree logs.
There you go.
If Bugs Bunny taught me anything.
Well, before we go any further, in the unlikely event that you've never seen or heard any of our shows before, we're going to explain the rules to you with Adam bringing up the rules right now.
Let's do it. I have rules. For those watching, you can see them. And if you're listening on the audio podcast version of the show, Alan will read them.
That's right. Historians are inspired by a topic. The true stories have to be factual. And the bluff story, the crux of the bluff's story, must be fictional. And you, the audience, who may be watching us live on YouTube, Twitch, or even Facebook, Adam.
That's right.
We
there now.
are currently streaming all those places live. Do not help our historians. Do not help anyone live, because that would spoil the ending, and we don't want the game spoiled, do we, Adam?
No, we don't. Don't
No, we
spoil
don't.
this game. Nope. Okay.
We also time all three of our rounds. Our first round is how many seconds? 75?
It's 75.
75 seconds. Our second round is a minute, and the third round and final is a 45-second round. So
It's gonna be that's quick.
yeah, it's kind of quick. So we like to keep it moving, keep it up paced. And in fact, speaking of keeping it moving, I think we're going to start round one right now if we can. Oh wait, not yet. We need a visual representation of how many stories we've done per round with our round tracker 9000.
There it is.
There it is.
Right there over your head, Alan.
So we know that there's 1, 2, 3 rounds, and Adam, I'd like to start the first round right now.
Let's do it. Let's go to round number 1. Here we are.
We're in it to win it.
Let the game begin.
That's right. Darren, we're going to put you in the front row here, have you kick off our first round, and you get the 75 seconds on the clock right now.
Okay. In the late 1700s, two modern inventions that literally shaped the world as we know it now came together to power the Industrial Revolution. I'm talking about the steam engine and the modern metal lathe. The modern metal lathe allowed the creation of precision screw threads, and steam power turned lathes faster than ever before. And soon, factories everywhere were churning out precision machinery like never before. And they were churning out loads of waste in the form of metal shavings, which soon got the moniker steel wool because the long strands resembled sheep's wool. Machinists soon figured out that a handful of steel wool was good for polishing all the metal things that they were making, and so they started bringing the stuff home. Fast forward a few decades, and companies started intentionally making steel wool as a cleaning product and for sanding wood and other things. But it wasn't until 1917 that Irwin Cox, an aluminum pot salesman, got the bright idea to impregnate steel wool with soap, and his wife came up with the name Save Our Saucepans, which conveniently got abbreviated S.O.S., which he was cleverly able to trademark by leaving out the third period. And you'll see on the box, it's S.O.S. No trailing period.
Look at that. Interesting. Wow.
I never noticed that.
I never noticed that until right now as well. Very cool. Darren, what do you think?
I think I'm telling the truth.
Okay.
I did that again.
You did it again.
I told myself I would never do it again. And I did it again.
That's a show. That's it.
I've known both these men for over a decade,
Oh.
and I never confuse them when I'm in person. But when I'm online, I don't know who's Drew and who's Darren. Drew,
There you go.
what is
The one
your
with the
opinion of Darren's story?
So far, sounds legit. I feel bad for Irwin Cox's wife. Doesn't get name dropped here. She just it's just the wife that came up with Save Our Saucepans. So typical husband taking
1917.
all the credit and glory. Otherwise, I just want to say Steel Wool is my favorite '80s hair metal band.
Okay.
Interesting.
Out of Scotland, right?
Adrian.
I was hoping he was going to say, it's my favorite kind of wool.
Feels really good on the skin.
Keeps you warm in the winter.
Best wool ever. What do you think, Adri?
Well, I'm not sold because I
Oh.
know that Darren is a very creative person. So he probably had that box shoved in the back of his under sink area. And because why would he have a box of SOS? You know what I mean? So I'm not sold. I'm not sold yet, but it could be plausible. Steel wool is very important, so
Plausible.
we'll see what happens.
What is the accusation that SOS doesn't exist, or
The accusation is that he found that box and said, this is convenient. Let's create a story
let's create a
Oh.
story based on this box?
based on
Okay.
the box. Yeah.
Okay.
Or he printed a box.
Oh, he could.
Uh-oh.
Because I've
What?
also never seen that brand of anything.
He's good
boy.
with the graphics. I've
I
seen
do
it.
have a 3D printer.
Yes.
true.
And I've
He
also
could've-
never heard of Steel Wool, the band. So I don't know what I'm doing here.
That might have been a bluff, but that wasn't from Darren. So
Uh-oh. Oh, man.
That is a
okay.
big box. That is a big box. Yeah,
it is.
that's a
That
huge-
is a lot of steel wool.
It's a value pack.
Costco or something.
All right. Let's move on, Darren.
Thrifty man.
Darren, you're done.
I
So we're not moving on to you. We're moving on to our other historian. His name, you might not know this, is Drew.
Oh,
okay.
there he is.
Drew, let's hear your first round story after that cannon shot.
Okay. The Battle of Stalingrad was the bloodiest battle of World War II. The battle between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union's Red Army began in July 1942. It lasted just over 6 months. It's recorded as the single largest and costliest urban battle in military history and was characterized by fierce close quarters combat. Estimated 99% of the city was destroyed. This isn't what my story is about. My story is about Dunya, a female cat who became an unsung heroine for Russia. Dunya was a stray cat that was adopted by Russia's 62nd Army under the leadership of Commander Alexander Paulus. She became their official mascot and lived at their headquarters, where she was spoiled with food, treats, and attention. She would often return the gratitude by leaving an occasional dead mouse on the soldier's bunk as a gift. She began to accompany the scouts on missions throughout Stalingrad, and occasionally she would wander off on her own. The scouts would panic because they didn't want to be the one that lost Dunya, but to their surprise, Dunya always seemed to find her way back to headquarters, where she'd be fed and pampered. More about Dunya in round number 2.
Interesting. All right, Darren, what is
Yes.
your opinion on Drew's story?
He's got it.
Yeah, I've read a bit about the Battle of Stalingrad, a very famous siege by the Germans and a terrible loss of life, and to the point where people weren't eating anything at all. And so I'm trying to come to some belief that a cat would survive in that environment of people starving and eating mice and tree leaves and grass.
Okay. Well, we've got a comment from our live audience on YouTube there, Adam.
Oh, yeah. Let's check
And
it out. Let's
We've
see
got a
what
comment
got
from
here.
Anthony. He
I'm
says
with the Drew crew.
he's with the Drew crew. Yep.
Thanks, Tony.
I think that means is he? I guess he's just claiming that Drew's telling the truth and not a bluff. Is that what that means?
He might be, or just the fact that I should know Drew's name by now.
Oh, I see. That's right.
Because I've known Tony the same amount of time as I've known Drew. So, okay. Anyway, Adri, what do you think?
Well, this is also interesting. I'm trying to imagine a world where Russians adopt anything. They're usually the ones that give up for adoption. So I don't know. Like, this is interesting. I also know a lot about Stalingrad, and I have never heard of this before. So we'll see what happens in the second round.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm interested to see how this goes in with the SOS. That's where I'm at
Yes.
right now.
That is a good point. Maybe Drew will get to the point in round 2. I don't know. But Adri, you got your opportunity in round 1 to make your SOS connection right now.
All right. So my story is about a man named Jeremiah Andrew Denton Jr. Just a little bit of backstory on him. He was born on July 15th, 1924 in Mobile, Alabama. After high school, he entered the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, because he was appointed by the state of Alabama to go there. I think he probably was like an outstanding student and did really great and ended up there. After he got trained at the Naval Academy, he spent the next 25 years or so in the military. He went to World War II. He fought in World War II. He fought in all the other wars that happened between that point and 1965. At the time, he was serving with a squadron that was operating out of the USS Independence, which was stationed in the South China Sea. On July 18th, 1965, Denton was piloting his A-6A Intruder jet and leading a 28 aircraft bombing mission over North Vietnam when his plane was downed. And I read conflicting reports, which I will clarify in round 2.
So this guy, Jeremiah, what was his last name again? Denton?
Denton Jr.
Denton Jr. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
What do you think, Drew McCalman?
You can't go wrong this time.
No, I got to say the full name at this point.
This sounds very. Lots of facts here, lots of information. I find nothing that sounds suspicious or throwing up red flags. So, but now she's hinting that there's some debate that's going to be in round 2. So I need to hear what that is.
Let's hear the debate soon. We will get to round 2 after we
Okay.
hear from Darren Humphrey. Darren Humphrey, you get to comment on Adri's story now.
Yes, I do. I'm with Drew in that I think we need to wait till round 2. So far, the World War II and Vietnam are wars that happened, and there was an A-6A plane and a probably a ship called the Independence, was it?
Yes.
Yep, that's what I heard.
That's it.
Those all sound like plausible things?
Yep.
They do sound plausible. What's also plausible is we're done with the first round, Adam.
We sure are. Look, let's see what we got here. Oh, those lights are all lit up in the round 1 section of the round tracker 9000. So it's time to go, Mr. Alan Forbes, to round number 2.
There it is. We're in round 2 now.
Welcome back.
Well,
Where the rounds are rounder and we still. I don't. I'll fill that in round 3.
Hold on. Tony has a paddle. Oh, no, he's saying that Darren is in the Drew crew. Now I'm totally confused.
Darren is
Definitely
in the Drew crew too.
Yeah.
Darren is in the Drew crew.
In round
who's
2?
Darren and who is Drew? I don't know. Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
This could go anywhere.
You know what, though? Darren, I want to hear some more about the Save Our Saucepans product and its origins right about now.
Okay, but first I do want to clear something up, that I cannot be bluffing about the existence of S.O.S. Though some of you could think, oh, maybe that's Brillo, but it's not Brillo, it's S.O.S.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay. So anyway, S.O.S, Save Our Saucepans, became a big hit, big product, and it was a staple of a modern American kitchen. Everybody had it. And in fact, it was so just intertwined with American culture that in 1959, when the United States opened a cultural exchange exhibition in Moscow, complete with a fully built and fully stocked modern American house, the exhibit included a box of S.O.S. that was prominently displayed on the kitchen counter. And it's a box that would become world famous on July 24th, 1959. Because that was the date that when then Vice President Richard Nixon visited Moscow and had an impromptu debate with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, a moment that would forever be known as the kitchen debate.
Wait a second. We've got multiple stories dealing with Russia. That's interesting. What do you say, Drew McCalman?
Okay, so now this, kind of took a big turn here with suspiciously Darren bringing Moscow in when my story is about Russia. So that's a big red flag for me. And then not Brillo. Wasn't that the S.O.S? Wasn't that their slogan at first?
Yeah,
we're not Brillo.
Oh,
Really?
that's a hell of an
Okay.
ad. Truth in advertising. There it is.
It's advertise your
Can't argue with
competitor in your
Toyota,
slogan.
we're not Ford. That's the equivalent, isn't
Brillo.
it?
Someone else. We're not General Motors. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Adri, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I didn't know Nixon was a vice president at some point, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that either. So.
Yeah,
Eisenhower.
that's-
Eisenhower's vice president, correct?
That
Yep.
would be 1959, yes.
How did I never hear about this?
That's
Okay.
crazy.
You got to know your history, Adam. We're the
There's a
history
lot of it,
buffs.
Alan. There's a lot. I can
There's a
tell you
lot
about
of
the
it, yeah.
molasses incident in Boston, but I can't tell you that Nixon was a vice president.
Fair.
Well, I did a story about the molasses incident.
I
can
recall.
name
That's
it.
why I know.
So far, again, his everything in round 2 sounds completely plausible. Nothing's really ringing a red bell, or a bell in general. Except for the whole Nixon being vice president part, but you guys are agreeing that that's true. So I guess we're on to round 3. I
That would
have
be
no idea what's happening.
That
Heck
works.
of a bluff. Okay, we've
That
got.
works. We do have one comment in. Oh, it's about Drew still. Okay.
He's justifying Darren being in the Drew crew because Darren had said, "I'm with Drew" earlier in the show. So he's just explaining himself why he
Thank
would
you,
say
Tony.
such a thing.
Thank you,
All
Tony,
right.
for sharpening the Drew crew propaganda.
Now we get it.
Look,
Okay.
and everyone can be in the Drew crew. Like it's a very, very easy club to get into.
Yeah. Just
Speaking
send
of
Drew
Drew
$100.
crew,
Oh.
who would the Drew crew be without you, Drew? So
In round
you
number 2.
will start, yes, in round number 2. Go.
Okay, so Dunya was going with the scouts around the city. Commander Palace saw what was happening. He even joked to the other high up commanders that his men had a secret weapon and a good luck charm all in one. Now, Nazi launched their attack on July 17th, like I said, but the 62nd Army didn't get into action initially. They waited as reinforcements. They acted as reinforcements while the Soviet leaders analyzed the Nazi attack and then planned their counterattack. It wasn't until September when the fighting moved into the city landscape, and that's when the 62nd Army was deployed. And there with them on missions was Dunya. Fighting in the city intensified, and on September 27th, the squad of 10 men was attacked by snipers. 7 of the men were killed, but 3 remained. They hid in a warehouse, and Dunya was with them, and they were cut off. No escape, no way to call for help.
What's going to happen? Adri, what do you think's going to happen?
I don't know, but this sounds like a movie I've seen before, except that the cat was a dog.
Oh.
And the Russians were Americans.
Okay.
And the Toyotas were Fords, and the Brillos were S.O.S.
Fords, and there was a Brillo pad that said it was
my
S.O.S.
Wow. A Brillo in disguise.
Yeah.
Darren, what do you think?
That's some of my comments.
I think if part 3 of Drew's story is a Russian holding the cat and squeezing it, meow, 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 then I'm all in.
That sounds good to me. I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's see how that defeats the Nazi forces. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we've got 2 people who've done their story. Adri, we get to hear a second round with Jeremiah Denton Jr., who was born on July 14th. He had something happen on July 19th in the 1960s.
Yes.
Let's hear what else happens.
All right. So I left off with a conflicting report that I read. So either a bomb exploded in his plane, like a U.S. bomb, or he was shot down by the Vietnamese. Nobody really knows exactly what happened. Either way, he ended up crashing, surviving the crash, and he was captured by the local Vietnamese army troops shortly after being shot down near Tan Hoa, about 70 miles south of Hanoi, and imprisoned in a local prison known as the Hanoi Hilton, which is not what it sounds like. It's actually a terrible prison built by the French in the early 1900s, and then the Vietnamese took it over. Obviously, it was their land. On May 2nd, 1966, as a part of a propaganda campaign. So he's in the accident in July 1965, and on May 2nd, 1966, so almost a year later, he's a part of a Japanese interview that he does something outrageous on. That's going to be number 30.
All right, the Northern Vietnamese captured him. Darren, what do you think?
I think if you've ever been at a bad hotel, it can seem like prison. And so that part rings very true.
Yes.
You don't need to be in Hanoi to not enjoy a Hilton. Drew, what do you think?
Yeah. So you said at the end that he was part of a Japanese interview?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Vietnamese brought in the Japanese to interview him.
Okay. So I want to know more about that, because I've seen like Japanese TV shows and talk shows that really are like really zany, like game show things. So I hope that that's where this is going.
Yeah. I'm telling you, round 3 is going to be lit.
Okay.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is odd and interesting. Japanese involvement during the American involvement in Vietnam. Oh,
Alan, we have. It's time for the quick random poll from the audience. Time. We would love to encourage interaction. We have
something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Apparently,
that's right. We have a random question. Do you prefer Alien or Predator? Let's go around the circle. Alan, you first.
Oh, what do I prefer? I guess I prefer Predator. That's my personal preference. Hey, Adri, you just talked about something that happened in the jungle, just like the Predator. What do you prefer, Alien or Predator?
I think Alien.
Alien. We've got an alien.
Darren, what do you prefer?
Predators, because I'm insured for them. I'm not insured for alien abduction.
Not insured for aliens. You have to have alien insurance for that. Drew, what do you say?
I'd go with Alien.
Going with Alien.
Okay.
There we
Those
go.
Are our preferences, Captain Birdseye.
There you go. You've heard it here. All right, that's all we have time for with the Alien and Predator. Now, back to the game.
Back to the game, and we've just wrapped up round 2, I think. So let's move on to
goodness,
round 3.
We really have. The dots are full. Going to round number 3. All right, here we are the middle of it all.
And Tony has his opinion on Alien versus Predator. He says Alien is just a little bit more sexy.
Oh, I guess so. Alien, yeah, well, I can see that.
It's got Sigourney Weaver.
Is that the one where the mouth comes out of the mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where the mouth comes out of the mouth. But
I like that one.
The Predator has the teeth that are on the outside of the mouth. And they spread horizontally.
Spoken like a cryptozoologist. No?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go with that. Okay.
Darren.
So, moving through.
Darren, we're in round 3. This is your final round to convince us. You have a mere 45 seconds to wrap up this story. I want to hear.
Okay, so as Nixon and Khrushchev walk through this model house, they begin a debate, and the press follows them. Nixon says, I want to show you this kitchen. In America, we like to make life easier for women. To which Khrushchev replies, your capitalistic attitude towards women does not occur under communism. Then Nixon says, well, this house costs $14,000. Our steelworkers can afford this house. And Khrushchev says, no, in America, if you don't have $1, you don't have a house. You sleep on the pavement. So communism's better. And they go on and on like this, and the press is following them around, and they're snapping photos of them. And what's in the background is this box of S.O.S. And one of those pictures that they snap is picked up by every major newspaper around the world. And that's how a box of S.O.S. became world news in 1959.
Wow. That's some free advertising right there. That's before the internet. That was a viral item. All right. So, Adam, is he out of time? I think he's out of time, right?
All right, time has run out. We're just having a little bit of technical issues in the booth, so we're just going to keep on moving on. But it's all right. We can advance the round tracker, and let's take it to the floor for debate, Alan.
All right. No, I think Darren had an appropriate amount to say there for his time limit. Adri, what do you think?
Well, I think it was a good story. I think it was plausible. I've never seen this image that he says. I've never seen the S.O.S. box. I've only ever heard of Brillo, so I've got a lot of red flags happening right now. But we'll see. Drew's got another chance to convince us otherwise.
Okay, Drew, what do you think of Darren's story? He's done. What do you say?
I wonder if I wonder if a young Tucker Carlson was watching this and it made him the man he is today. And I just picture this model house. Is that Magic Kingdom? Is the Carousel of Progress still there?
Yes,
I hope
it
so.
is.
'Cause I always take a nap
still there
on that
I
ride.
feel like there's at the end there's the home of what's supposed to be the future, but it's been the same future since the 1970s, 80s, whatever. And I feel like that's what I picture with this model house that they were touring. But otherwise, there's some red flags in this story, but I want to wait to see what Adri has to say with hers, and then I'll make my.
You'll weigh in at the end. I understand. Well, Tony's got an opinion. Anthony Bolante. I believe he's referring to Darren as Colonel Sanders in this because it says Colonel Sanders, Khrushchev, and Nixon impersonations are spot on.
Truth.
Thank you, Tony.
I think Tony's a fan of the old Van Dyke there, going right there. Interesting.
Nice.
Yes. All right, so that's one down for round 3. Drew, let's find out a little bit more about your story with the cat and the Nazi attack in Russia, and let's hear it wrapped up.
Okay, so the 3 remaining men turned to Dunya for help. They wrote an SOS message on a tiny piece of paper stating where they were and where the snipers were. They took an empty bullet shell and inserted the message like in a tube and tied it around Dunya's neck using a shoelace as a collar. It took some encouragement to get Dunya to leave their sides, but eventually she did, Now they just had to wait and pray. And a brutal 18 hours later, it worked. Dunya made it back to headquarters where the commander and the people there noticed the caller. A rescue mission was launched, and the 3 men were saved thanks to Dunya. After that, Dunya continued to wander off. At one point, she disappeared for longer than normal, and the men thought she'd been killed. But she showed up with 3 kittens, and they adopted those as well.
Oh, fascinating. What do you think, Adri?
No.
Oh.
First of all, we're talking about the type of animal that can't keep food down or not knock something off a table. You're telling me that it knew to go and transport a message to the headquarters?
Food was. It went back to where it knew it had.
No, that is unbelievable.
I want to point out also that earlier someone said about it was harsh and they ate horses and stuff. Well, that was in the winter. This is all like before that harsh winter. That was anyway.
Okay.
Not buying it. I'm not
Adri's
buying
not
it.
buying it. All right. Which one of you is a cat owner? Drew is.
Aha.
Not Adri. Adri is not a cat owner. I think Adri is just not a fan of cats. Maybe
Very
that's the
allergic.
case.
Very
I am
allergic.
too, and I'm also not a fan. All right,
And I'm not a
Darren, what do
fan.
you say?
They'll eat you if they
I
get the
think
chance.
they will. They'll eat your face. I think any story about Russia and its enemies would be incomplete without the cat encountering the other natural enemy of the Russians, which is a moose and squirrel. And so I didn't hear any of that.
Right.
And so without that, I can't believe this.
Neither Boris nor Natasha. Okay.
How about that?
Interesting.
Okay.
Adri, did we lose you? Did you ever
No, I'm
watch
here.
cartoons before you were born? The ones that came out before you were born?
I am okay. So no, I don't.
No,
like
you've
cartoons.
never watched cartoons.
I don't
that
like
older than you.
cartoons.
Okay.
I don't like. Period. I don't like.
Even
cartoons.
when you were a child, you didn't watch
Yeah.
cartoons?
I mean, I watched like some of them, but I didn't really like them.
Alan, what was the name of that cartoon? It was Rocky and Bullwinkle, right?
It's Rocky and Bullwinkle, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. It was like,
Oh,
it
I've
was referred to
heard
as
of
the
that.
moose and the squirrel.
Ooh,
Yes.
Bullwinkle.
Yeah,
That guy.
see?
Yes.
Hey.
See? That was before
Culturally-
I was born.
Never seen it. I've just
Or
heard it.
Drew. I can't speak for Darren, but Bullwinkle and Rocky and Bullwinkle, I believe in the 1960s, right, Darren?
I think so. Before I was
Yes.
born.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Here we are.
did we already cover opinions
We
of
did.
Drew's story? Darren, did we get to you?
We did, yes.
But I
That's
mean,
how
like,
we-
did you
That's why
comment?
we're talking about.
Did you
That's why we're
comment
talking about
on?
squirrels and mooses.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yes, that's right. That's the joke. I remember now.
There it is.
Okay.
We got 1 dot left, Alan. One dot left in the round tracker.
You have a story. You gotta wrap it up. I want to hear the finale of Jeremiah Denton Jr.
Yes. Okay, so July 18th, 65, he gets into his accident. May 66, he is interviewed by a Japanese reporter. And during the interview, he starts like blinking real weird. And they're like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why are you doing that with your eyes?" And he's like, "Oh, it's the lights from the cameras, like whatever." Turns out he was actually using Morse code and blinking the word torture to send a message back to the U.S. officials so that they would know that they were being tortured as POWs in Vietnam. He actually is held hostage for 7 years and 7 months. Then he was brokered for, to be free. He ends up becoming a U.S. Senator in 1981 and retires in 1987 and dies March 28th, 2014, which is my birthday.
What? Well, that would mean that he served with another Hanoi Hilton resident, right, Darren?
Right. Like Bob Dole was, I believe, in the Hanoi Hilton as well.
As well as John McCain? Wasn't John McCain? in
And John
there?
McCain, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's probably who I was thinking of, but definitely
A lot of history right there. Wow.
Just want to
I know Bob
apologize
Dole was a war
for
hero, too.
What, Adri?
mispronouncing. I just want to apologize for mispronouncing pretty much everything important in this story.
That's all good. We'll allow it. Darren, what's your opinion?
Despite there being no moose or squirrel in her story, I believe it more than Drew's story. That sounds like something clever that an aviator would do. They're probably trained in Morse code.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I've got a request here from Tony. Let's bring up this. He wanted to. I think he's requesting a Boris impersonation. Colonel Sanders, Alan, no Boris impersonation?
Yes, moose and squirrel, they are very crafty.
Very crafty, moose and squirrel. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I remember you had
It's been a
The
while.
voice he talk down here.
All right.
Was it Boris Karloff?
Yes.
It was not.
Okay.
Drew, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I thought of John McCain as well. In fact, I kind of thought as I'm hearing this, I thought that was a story that happened to him. So that's a potential red flag there. But if it is true, then I don't know, Jeremiah. He wasn't a squirrel or moose, but he does sound like a bullfrog.
Oh, man.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
He was.
He was.
I was
and
waiting
a good
for that
friend of mine.
reference.
Yes.
Of course.
He was.
All right. Well, I think our round tracker's filled up there, Adam. Yes, it is.
There it is. It's all
So-
filled up. It's the end of the game.
It's the end of the game, but we need to hear some opinions from not only Tony and others watching, but our historians. Darren, who do you think is the bluff?
I am leaning towards Drew because I think that Adri's story is true. I have seen something similar to that in a television movie. That doesn't mean that the movie I saw is true, but I've seen something like that before, so it rings very true to me.
Okay. So you're saying that Drew
Is the
might be bluffing. Well, Drew, what say you?
Yeah, this is tough. I think, Adri sounds pretty legit. Other than I thought this was a John McCain story. So just, you know what? The heck, I'm gonna say Adri is the bluff. So like,
Oh.
maybe it's based on some true stuff, and she just kind of mixed and matched elements of true stories to make one big false story.
Okay. Adri, what's your opinion?
This is tough because Darren's story involves a product I've never heard about and a lot of history I've never heard about. And Drew's story is about animal I despise. So I'm gonna choose Drew as the bluff.
Drew has been implicated twice by both Darren and Adri. Interesting, but that also means that Darren, you have not been implicated by anybody.
Wow.
So Darren,
I could get away clean.
Yeah.
he could
Is that a SOS cleaner pun?
Why, yes, it
get
is.
away clean. Tony has an opinion.
Oh, he does. Oh, let's get Tony's opinion up here. Oh, hold on.
See, he's having trouble. He says it's hard to say. They're all wearing glasses. They all look so smart, educated, blinded by reading. So he's not giving an answer. He's saying they
Oh,
all
I
look
see.
truthful. Okay.
Anthony.
All right.
Anthony, sorry.
Antony, yes. That's right. So anyway,
Okay.
he doesn't know. And
Send him a message.
I will say that Darren's story is interesting. I like the story about steel wool being leftovers from a lathe machine. I didn't know that. In fact, maybe that's all the bluff, because I'm aware of other products that are made of leftovers, like in another type of mechanical setting, sawdust became particle board, and particle board is commonly found in furniture all over your home. It makes up our roofs.
Same with tater tots.
Tater
And
tots.
spam.
They don't make up our roof, but they are the leftover parts.
They're
of French
leftover
fries.
potato parts. Interesting, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm very fascinated when people find uses for the leftover stuff
Yeah.
that used to get thrown away. So I'm hoping Darren's not the bluff, if only to have that additional piece of information. But I'm not going to implicate Darren as my opinion of the bluff. I don't know who the bluff is, just like
That's
Tony.
right.
Oh wait, one more thing. Tony says most cats are traitors, but not all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, look at them.
Even there, Tony's not making a definite opinion here. He's not saying anything about Dunya.
We can't see Tony. He may be under duress from a cat right now
Yeah.
and be forced to say that.
Most likely.
Is he blinking SOS? He doesn't have webcam, so,
We'll never know.
we'll never know.
If he only had a microphone, he could squeeze the cat.
That's true. All right, Alan. Alan, have you frozen up? I think Alan might have frozen up.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
I just want to say I'm offended personally that I was not called Darren tonight.
Oh, I can call you Darren.
Thank you.
Because if Alan's frozen up and we don't have his signal, then that means I'm taking over, which is fine because guess what, everyone? I do know who the bluff is. So let's get Alan out of the stream here, and I'm going to line you perpetrators up just like this. And we're going to reveal right now, for the SOS episode, was your bluff Darren? Was your bluff Drew? Or was your bluff Adri? The reveal is upon us. The bluff was Drew. Hey, well done.
Good job. Going on again.
You did all right. Good work, my friend.
Where did you get that story from?
Well, let me tell you something. I did look up heroic cats, and there was a cat in Stalingrad who did have a habit of going on missions and finding her way back. But this was so that inspired the story. And I found some other stories about pets, not necessarily cats, but I combined it with some real stories about cats saving troops.
I liked it.
And for the record, if you go out there and Google image search kitchen debate SOS, you will see the photograph in question.
No kidding.
So I think I know that photo. Yeah.
Apparently,
very
it's a
nice.
meme of some sort, too.
There you go. Well, I'd be remiss not to put my face on the screen as I exit in place of Alan, who we will see on future shows, of course. But I want to give a big round of applause to everybody. Thank you so much for being a big part of this. Let's see. Let's get a thank you, Darren. I want to give a big thanks to Darren. And, of course, I'd be remiss not to mention Darren. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. We're here every single week with some history and some laughs. Follow us on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and listen where you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.